Hi, everybody. Welcome again to Ivy English. I'm Bruce.
I'm Angela.
And I'm Wesley.
Today is the day after October 5th. This is our two-piece news information for you for the month. I was going to say today. It should be now we're going to look at Like It or Not, It's Up to You. And when we finish with this short piece of news, we will then go to our second piece.
好，我们的中文标题是数位健康新生活，隐藏赞数功能。好，那这个英文标题 Like it or not 就是 whether you like it or not 啊，就是说you don't have a choice 啊，反正 it's going to happen 啊，或这个你喜欢不喜欢都一样啊。那 it's up to you 就是 it's your decision to make 啊，那这完全看你啦。
Okay, I'll read through this single paragraph and then we'll get busy explaining it, all of them to you, sentence by sentence. Users of social media often rave about its ability to connect people around the globe. For some people, however, social media is a source of addiction. People who are addicted to social media focus on one aspect of it in particular, the likes. The number of likes acts like a drug to them and puts pressure on them to make posts that will attract more likes, which further reinforces the addiction cycle. In an effort to minimize this effect, both Facebook and Instagram have announced that they will put the power of like counts in their users' hands. Users will now be able to hide a post like count after they make it, giving them more control over their experience.
You all know that Instagram is owned by Facebook, right? Like, it's amazing the number of people who don't know this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's basically the same company. So the fact that they both did this together makes sense because it's the same company. It's like two divisions of the same company. Anyway, so users of social media often rave. They go crazy and say so many complimentary things like, oh, it's so amazing, blah, blah, blah. About its ability. They rave about what? They rave about its ability to connect people around the globe. And that definitely was the big selling point when it all just became a thing. And yeah, I mean, that's still true. That's still one of the positives of social media.
好，所以第一句呢告诉我们说 users 啊，使用者啊，这个社群媒体 social media 的使用者呢，常常会 rave about。好，这个 rave 就是to write or speak about something with great enthusiasm 啊，就是很兴奋的啊，这个常常会这个赞叹啊，或怎么样的哈。那 rave about its ability 哈，所以社群媒体的使用者常常对于他这个能力赞叹不已。什么能力呢？他社群媒体可以 connect people around the globe， 所以它可以连接全世界的人。好 ，around the globe 就是 around the world.
For some people, however, social media is a source of addiction. So we said something nice about it in the first sentence. Now we have a however, but on the other hand, social media can become a source or the reason for addiction. Normally we think of drug addiction, but actually any behavior, including taking drugs, can become uncontrollable. You have no control over yourself and the thing or the way to do something that you can't stop yourself from doing. So that is many things can be chocolate.
Many things can be addictive.
Addiction.
Yeah.
好，所以 addiction 就是上瘾。好，所以呢，这个地方讲到说，对于某些人来讲呢，对社群媒体有它的好处。然而，对于某些人来讲，社群媒体它是一个a source of addiction， 这各位可以把它学起来哈，就是它会是一个会让你上瘾的东西啊。这个时候呢，通常我们不会讲 a thing of addiction 哈，我们常常会讲 a source of addiction， 就是它会让你上瘾的。
So people who are addicted to social media are people who cannot change their behavior relative to social media. And what social media does to addict you is it gives you dopamine every time you click on something. And it gives you dopamine every time that you get some positive reinforcement. The whole business of likes is a system of positive reinforcement. The more likes something gets, the more dopamine you get. You're like, oh, I've got 300 likes. Well, I've never had that number in my life, actually. I should say, I got 50 likes is my personal best. And you're like, oh, 50. The last time I only got 40. This is so awesome. And you get addicted to being reinforced like this. So people who are addicted to social media focus on one aspect of it in particular. Aspect is one piece of the puzzle, one part of the whole. But aspect is not really part. You can't substitute part for aspect. We've actually just had this conversation with a student. An aspect is more abstract and a part is more physical. So there's one abstract piece of social media that people focus on in particular. If something is in particular, it means it's that thing and not anything else. And the likes. The likes is what gets you addicted to social media.
OK， 好，所以呢，这个刚刚 Angel 老师他讲的时候呢，有用到一个字，好 ，dopamine 啊，就 dopamine 好 ，dopamine 就是多巴胺的意思，好，所以因为很多人使用社群媒体的时候，他会这个按键按下去，或者看到人家按赞，他就会得到那多巴胺，就很快乐啊。好，那我们看看这个句子，他说啊 ，people 哈 who are addicted to 上瘾的叫做 are addicted to， 对于什么上瘾呢？对于这个 social media 上瘾的人呢 ，focus on 他们会把焦点放在 aspects 啊，就是 one aspect of it， 它其中的一个面向，也就是社群媒体的一个面向。好 ，in particular 是特地的、特别的，所以对社群媒体上瘾的人，特别会把焦点放在社群媒体的一个面向上面，就是 the likes， 他们会看赞这个东西，按赞数。
The number of likes, how many likes a person gets, acts like a drug. It does the same thing that drugs do. They give you dopamine, a natural chemical in the body which makes people feel pleasure, and puts pressure on them, on the people who use these internet. So they like Facebook, they like Instagram, because it's a way for them to feel appreciated, to feel part of something. Other people are reacting to them. And these are relayed to the people who use these systems as likes. And of course, if you feel good about something, you want to do it again and again and again and again and again. So you become an addict. You become addicted to chocolate.
Although in reference to chocolate, sometimes people are addicted to the minerals that are in chocolate that are deficient in the rest of their diet.
好，所以这很多人这个其实他需要巧克力，是因为他们需要巧克力里面的一些算是营养素吧，或它巧克力能够带来的一些效果。好，所以我们看到这个地方讲到，他说 the number of likes 就是你的这个按赞数acts like 它的作用就像 a drug 好像药一样to them 对方来讲这个按赞数就好像是药一样，然后呢就 puts pressure on them 就会在他们身上施加压力，让他们要 make posts 让他们要不断的要发出贴文，那这些贴文呢 that will attract more likes 他们希望发出贴文得到更多的按赞数然后呢 which 就是他们贴了更多的东西，希望能够吸引更多的这个按赞数，那这个呢会进一步的 further 会进一步的 reinforces the addiction cycle 会强化 reinforce 是强化，会强化这个上瘾的循环所以这是一个恶性循环，他希望得到按赞数，他就会去想办法去 po 一些东西上去然后呢这个 po 出来之后呢，别人如果又给他按赞或者是不给他按赞，他就会 po 更多的东西，所以他会强化这个上瘾的循环。好，那这个其实是现代社会很多问题的根源就是可能太多人太在乎这个按赞数了你太在乎别人喜不喜欢你了，有的时候就会做出一些很莫名其妙的事情。
So in an effort to minimize this effect, both Facebook and Instagram have announced that they will put the power of like counts in their users' hands. So the sentence begins by saying, in an effort to minimize something. So they're trying to make the effect of something smaller. they're trying to make the effect of likes smaller. They're trying to lower the effect of likes on people. And both Facebook and Instagram have announced that they will do this thing. They will put the power of like counts in their users' hands. What does it mean to say that they're going to put the power in their users' hands? They're going to put the control of like counts in their users' hands. This is not true. Because in the next sentence, it just transpires that you're allowed to hide these like counts, but you still know that they're there. So if you're someone who's addicted to like counts, being able to hide them isn't necessarily going to help you stop being addicted to them, because the whole point of social media is to accrue likes and attention. So I don't see how this is going to help.
好，那刚刚 Angela 用到一个是 accrue 哈，就是累积的意思 ，ACCRUE 啊，这个是累积的意思。好，然后呢 ，in an effort to 就是为了要minimize 就是降到最低哈，要把什么降到最低呢？为了要把这个 this effect 啊，为了要把这个效应降到最低，好，就是这个上瘾的这个循环，这个效应要把它降到最低。为了要做到这一点呢，好，这个 Facebook 跟这个 Instagram 两家好都其实是同一家公司的哈，他们 have announced 他们已经宣布，他们会把这个 power 就是这个决定权这个力量哈 of like counts 就是按赞数这个决定权或这个力量呢，把它放到他们使用者的手中啊。那下一句就会讲什么叫做放到他们使用者的手中。
Users will now be able to hide a post's like count after they make it, giving them more control over their experience. What she said.
所以呢
Thank you.
Yeah, 所以呢，这个使用者呢，现在可以隐藏啊他的一个贴文的这个 like count 啊，就是他可以隐藏不看啊。After they make it， 他们贴了之后呢，啊 ，it 就指那个 post 啊，那他们贴了之后就可以把那个按赞数隐藏，那这样就可以给他们 more control， 给他们有比较这个多的控制，也就是他们这样就比较能够控制他们的经验，也就是说他们比较能够控制他们的贴文所带来给他们的体验啊。所以那刚刚 Angela 讲到这里面其实有一个问题，就是他按赞数还是在那边的啊，那使用者只是能够决定说我要不要看这个按赞数，但是其实很多人贴文就是希望能够看到按赞数啊，所以这个东西它效果怎么样我们不太清楚啊，但至少这是第一步。
Okay, flip the page with us, and we'll look at our second piece here, A Modern Mayflower.
好，我们的中文标题是结合人工智慧与太阳能的现代版五月花号。那五月花号大家都知道，就是美国这个清教徒移民啊，这个到美国普利茅斯港啊所乘坐的这条船。
Okay, I'll read through the two paragraphs here, and then we'll get busy explaining all the sentences for you. A fully self-navigating ship called the Mayflower Autonomous Ship, built by tech company IBM, is in final preparations before its maiden voyage across the Atlantic Ocean. Launched back in September of 2020, the ship contains top-of-the-line artificial intelligence, as well as a solar-powered hybrid electric motor. The ship has been undergoing the last few stages of sea trials and research missions before setting off from Plymouth, England. The MAS is set to commemorate the crossing of its namesake ship, the original Mayflower, by following the same route to Massachusetts in the United States from 400 years ago. The MAS will gather information on pressing issues like global warming, microplastic pollution, and marine mammal conservation, and share its findings with scientists and other autonomous vessels.
Okay, so we have a fully self-navigating ship here. If something is self-navigating, it means it chooses its course. It's the way it's going to go on its own. If it's a car, it's choosing the road. If it's a ship, it's choosing a direction or a course. A course is a sort of a preset understanding of where you're going to go. Like, how are you going to get from New York to London? You have to set a course across the Atlantic Ocean. So self-navigating means they choose their course themselves. Now, people are self-navigating. but we're making a ship self-navigating. We're meaning that the ship is not going to be controlled by people. It's going to be controlled by an AI. And this ship is called the Mayflower Autonomous Ship. Autonomous means makes its decisions on its own, or is responsible for its own decisions, which, when it's an AI, comes into question. Can an AI truly be responsible for their own decisions? So, autonomous is normally applied to human beings. Anyways, this is called the Mayflower Autonomous Ship, which is the MAS, and it was built by tech company IBM. Yay, our computer innovators in the United States. And this ship is in final preparations. If you're in final preparations, it means you're doing the last little bits to make something ready. So if you were preparing for a trip, your final preparations is like making sure you have your toothbrush, making sure that you haven't forgotten your documents. They're doing their final preparation before its maiden voyage across the Atlantic Ocean. Maiden voyage is really old-timey English. Because back when sailing ships was the brand new technology, it was an incredible technology requiring the coordination of human beings in very interesting ways. But anyways, this was the high tech of its time, and they thought of ships as being she's because sexism. And so therefore, since ships were female, then they would say the first time a ship took a trip, it would be their voyage as a maid, which is a young female in the language of the time. So a maiden voyage is the first time a young girl took a trip across something, or the first time a ship took a trip. And yeah, I have a lot more to say, but
没错哈，这个 maiden voyage 这个词中文传统的翻法也是翻成处女航但是现在这样子的说法已经很不合适了因为这是里面有性别歧视的意味在里面。好，所以呢，现在我们就直接把它翻成首航。好，中文现在用首航倒是完全没有什么问题的但所以各位不要再把它翻成处女航了所以这个词呢，其实它是含有性别歧视的。那我们来看到这个句子，一开始它讲 a fully 就完全地这个 self-navigating 就是自我导航的意思自驾的意思那 fully 这个字呢，最近很红这个 fully vaccinated 这个接种疫苗呢，你2剂都接种了，或甚至于接种3剂了那就是 fully vaccinated。好，那这个地方是完全的自我导航的一条船它的名字叫做五月花号自驾船那它名字里面的 autonomous 通常用来形容人就是 independent 或者是 self-directed 他自己可以决定自己要干嘛的那所以有这条船，那这条船是谁盖的呢？谁做的呢？是这个科技公司 IBM 所做出来的船。那这个句子的主词是这个 ship 好，然后呢动词现在才出现 is in final preparations 这条船现在正在做最后的准备好 preparation 有加 s 因为它不会只准备一样东西，它有很多事情要准备。是在什么之前做最后的准备呢？在它的首航之前做最后的准备，而且这个首航是要横跨大西洋。
Launched back in September of 2020, the ship contains top-of-the-line artificial intelligence as well as a solar-powered hybrid electric motor. If you launch something, it's probably going to be a ship or a satellite.
A rocket?
Yeah.
An airplane?
No.
Why not? Why do airplanes not launch? Because a student of mine was asking this.
That's a good question. Launch is
firing
or
something.
out.
Yeah, but airplanes go up. And the answer I thought of to give him is that launch is when you are throwing something else into the air. The airplane is going up by itself. So a rocket ship is literally being thrown into the air by the power of things. But
then launch a ship?
Right? So this is why my student was confused. I was hoping you could help.
Well, you can expect launch to be collocated with either rocket, satellite, space probe, or ships.
No, excuse me. I think that's where Chinese comes in.
Okay.
If you say launch a ship, that's 中文是下水，一条船下水。
Okay.
And then if you launch a rocket, 那是发射，你会发射火箭，但是你不会发射飞机。
Right.
That's why airplane cannot be that collocation.
It's just a collocation. But I
and also
noticed
meaning.
there's also a collocation, like a meaning between ships and spaceships that we don't put for planes.
It's complicated. Yeah.
Okay, so September last year was when the Mayflower autonomous ship was launched or set off by IBM. And this ship is amazing. It contains top of the line, which means the most recent or most highly developed AI, artificial intelligence, as well as, and there's more, a solar-powered hybrid electric motor. And I'll let my buddy over here, Wesley, take care of that description.
Of course. 啊，那这个地方呢，这个 launched 就是下水啊。那这条船呢是去年 back in 啊，不是这个2020年啊的这个9月下水的。那这条船呢 contains 它包含了 top of the line 就是最棒的、最先进的 artificial intelligence 最先进的人工智慧 as well as 它也还有啊，除了最先进的人工智慧之外，还有什么呢？ solar powered 就是太阳能驱动的 hybrid 就是混合。那混合什么呢？它后面讲到 electric motor， 所以显然就是油电混合的啊，这个马达 motor 就是马达，所以 hybrid 啊，现在的 hybrid 常常像汽车的话，它就是指油电混合的意思。
So the ship has been undergoing the last few stages of sea trials and research missions. If you're undergoing something, it means you're going through something difficult. It's like you're being tested. That's what undergoing implies. So it's being tested through its last stages of sea trials. They're trying it out at actual sea conditions to see how it will work. And research missions, they're making sure that it can do all the things it needs to do before setting off from Plymouth, England. If you set off from a place, you leave from that place.
OK， 好，所以我们看到这个船呢，它 has been undergoing 就是经历好 the last few stages 最后的几个阶段 of sea trials 就是海上的测试，还有最后几个阶段的这个 research missions 有几个研究的任务。Before 在什么之前，他要做完这些呢？在他 setting off 就是出发的意思 ，set off 就是 to start a journey 啊，他从哪里出发呢？他从英国的普利茅兹港出发。
The MAS is set to commemorate the crossing of its namesake ship, the original Mayflower, by following the same route to Massachusetts in the United States from 400 years ago. So IBM's ship is set to, it's being prepared to commemorate, that is to observe an important event, and usually the same time every year. We commemorate Thanksgiving Day on the fourth Thursday of November, or we can commemorate something after 50 years or 100 years, or in this case, 400 years. It's to celebrate something at particular periods of time. The original Mayflower left England, and when it arrived in what is now called Massachusetts in the United States 400 years ago, the people on the Mayflower, only half of them survived the trip across the Atlantic Ocean. They set up a town, and they named it after Plymouth, England. So there's a Plymouth, Massachusetts, and a Plymouth, England.
好，所以呢，这个 MAS 啊，就是这条船啊，5月花号自驾船啊 ，it's set to 就是它已经准备好了 ，set 就是 ready 哈，它已经准备好了，要干嘛呢？它要 commemorate 就是要纪念啊 ，the crossing of 就是横渡啊，什么东西的横渡呢？它的 namesake ship，namesake 就是以之为名的啊，换句话说，其实就是这个当初的那一艘5月花号啊，所以它是以当初的清教徒所乘坐的5月花号为名啊，所以它要再走一次当年5月花号的那个航线啊，它要再跨越一次，这个横渡一次大西洋。好，那它的 namesake ship， 它后面就讲了，就是 the original Mayflower， 就是原本的那一艘5月花号。那它要怎么样这个横跨大西洋呢 ？By following the same route， 它会遵循相同的路线，哈 ，route 就是 course 哈，到马赛诸塞州哈，美国的马赛诸塞州，那是从400年前啊，也就是最早的那个5月花号，已经是400年前的事情了，1620年的事情。
So the MAS will gather information on pressing issues like global warming, microplastic pollution, and marine mammal conservation, and share its findings with scientists and other autonomous vessels. There's more autonomous vessels out there? There's other AI-driven ships? Okay, they're really going over the top to make people like this ship. We're going to make it like the Mayflower. We're going to have it do all this very cool scientific stuff that we need. Let's do that to cover up the fact that actually AI-driven ships are going to be a menace to society in so many ways.
好，我们看到这个句子，他说这个MS 这条船呢将会怎么样 ？Gather information， 它会收集一些资料，在哪一方面的资料呢 ？Information on pressing issues。Pressing 就是urgent， 好，很急迫、很迫切的这种一些 issues， 例如怎么样？全球暖化，例如塑胶微粒的污染，microplastic pollution 就塑胶微粒的污染，还有怎么样？这个海洋哺乳动物的保育，marine mammal conservation 然后呢，他会 share its findings 就他的发现他的研究成果，他会跟谁分享呢？跟科学家，还有跟其他的自驾船分享其他的 autonomous， 那 vessels 就是船或者舰。
I mean, what happens when something goes wrong?Marine law is already such a mess. Who's going to be responsible? It's already like the evergreen. Who is responsible for the evergreen issue, right? What happens when the Mayflower messes up?
所以这个其实背后还是有一些问题的。
Okay, well, stay tuned, as they say, and hopefully it will be an okay voyage and it will contribute to scientific research and knowledge. Well, that's it for today, the two pieces of news we share with you.Every month we have these two short pieces, and I'm sure we will again next month. That's it for today, though, and until the next time we're together, bye-bye.